My girlfriend said, "I'm going on a girls' trip. No questions." I smiled and said, "Have fun." Then I sent her dad the recordings from hotel. 48 hours later, her entire family disowned her. I, 26M, discovered my girlfriend's girls' trip was actually something else entirely. Here's how her lies unraveled her entire life. I should have known something was wrong when she started putting her phone face down during dinner. For 3 years, we'd been together, living in my apartment, sharing everything. She'd always been open about her messages, her calls, her plans. But that Tuesday evening in March, when she announced her sudden girls' trip to Miami, something felt off. She told me it was last minute, that her friend had gotten a great deal on a hotel, and they needed to book immediately. When I asked which friend, she got defensive, saying I didn't need to interrogate her about every detail. She said no questions, and I should just trust her. I smiled and told her to have fun, but my gut was screaming that something wasn't right. The thing is, I knew all her friends. We'd been together long enough that our social circles had merged almost completely. I could think of maybe 2 friends who might spontaneously plan a Miami trip, but both were going through financial difficulties. Neither could afford a last-minute vacation. That night, while she packed, I noticed she was taking lingerie I'd never seen before. When I mentioned it, she laughed it off, saying she wanted to feel confident at the beach. But we'd been to beaches together dozens of times, and she'd never packed anything like that. I'm not proud of what I did next, but desperation makes you do things you never thought you would. While she showered, I installed a voice recording app on her phone. I told myself I'd delete it as soon as my suspicions were proven wrong. I just needed peace of mind. She left Thursday morning with a kiss and a promise to call every night. The first call came Thursday evening, right on schedule. She told me about the hotel, about dinner with the girls, about their plans for the beach the next day. Everything sounded normal, but something in her voice felt rehearsed. Friday night's call was different. She sounded breathless, distracted. She said they were at a club and it was too loud to talk long. She'd call Saturday instead. When Saturday's call never came, I knew. Sunday morning, she texted saying her phone had died and she'd been too busy to find a charger. She'd be home Monday evening and would explain everything then. But I'd already heard everything I needed to hear. The recordings had been uploading to cloud storage automatically. Friday evening, while she was supposedly at dinner with friends, I heard her voice clearly in what was obviously a hotel room. She wasn't with her girlfriends. She was with her ex-boyfriend from college, the one she claimed meant nothing to her, the one she said she'd lost touch with years ago. The conversation was intimate, romantic, planning their future together. She talked about leaving me, about how she'd been unhappy for months, about how reconnecting with him had shown her what real love felt like. She mentioned that her family had always liked him better anyway, that her dad had never really approved of me. But what really shattered me was hearing her mock me. She laughed about how naive I was, how easy it was to lie to me, how I believed everything she said without question. She called me boring, predictable, a safe backup plan while she figured out what she really wanted. I sat in our apartment Sunday evening, listening to hours of recordings, watching 3 years of my life crumble into lies. Every sweet moment, every shared dream, every time she said she loved me, all of it felt contaminated now. When she walked through the door Monday evening with a guilty smile and a story about phone problems, I almost felt sorry for her. She had no idea that her entire world was about to collapse. I let her tell her story. She'd had an amazing time with the girls, the weather was perfect, the hotel was beautiful. She showed me pictures she'd clearly found online of Miami beaches. She even had a fake sunburn from what she claimed was too much time by the pool. I nodded and smiled, asking about her friends, about what they'd done each day. She spun elaborate stories, probably ones she'd rehearsed on the plane ride home. When she finished, I told her I was glad she'd had fun and that I had something to show her. The color drained from her face when I played the first recording. Her voice, clear as day, telling her ex how much she'd missed him. I watched her realize that her carefully constructed lies were falling apart in real time. She tried to explain, to minimize, to turn it around on me for violating her privacy. But the evidence was overwhelming. Hours of recordings, multiple conversations, detailed plans for her exit strategy. She'd even discussed taking some of my belongings when she left, things she claimed I'd given her as gifts. What she didn't know was that I'd already made my own plans. Her father and I had always had a complicated relationship. He was old-fashioned, traditional, deeply religious. He'd raised his daughter with strict values about loyalty, commitment, and honesty. He'd often told me how proud he was that she'd found someone stable and trustworthy. I debated for hours about whether to involve her family. But remembering how she'd mocked me, how she'd planned to steal from me, how she'd thrown away 3 years like they meant nothing, I decided they deserved to know who she really was. I compiled the most damning recordings into a single file. Her plans to leave me, her descriptions of our relationship as a joke, her detailed discussions about manipulating me until she was ready to move out. I included her mockery of her family's values, her casual dismissal of the principles they'd raised her with. I sent the file to her father Tuesday morning with a simple message. I thought you should know who your daughter really is. The response came faster than I expected. Her father called within an hour, his voice shaking with rage and disappointment. He told me he'd already shared the recordings with her mother and siblings. The family was meeting that evening to discuss what they'd heard. By Tuesday afternoon, her phone was ringing constantly. Her mother, her brother, her sister, all calling to confront her about the recordings. I watched her panic, watched her realize that her lies had consequences beyond just our relationship. She begged me to call her father, to explain that the recordings were taken out of context, that I was trying to destroy her family relationships out of spite. But I'd already heard her true feelings about me, about them, about everything she claimed to value. Her family's reaction was swift and decisive. Her father told her not to come home, that she'd violated every principle they'd raised her with. Her mother, who'd always defended her, said she was ashamed and disappointed. Her siblings, who'd looked up to her as the responsible older sister, said they couldn't trust her anymore. By Wednesday morning, she was effectively cut off from everyone who'd ever mattered to her. Her college ex, the one she'd thrown away everything for, suddenly stopped answering her calls when he realized the drama that came with her. She spent Wednesday crying, alternating between rage at me for recording her and panic about her collapsing life. She tried to convince me that we could work through this, that everyone deserved a second chance, that she'd made a mistake but still loved me. But I'd heard her true feelings. I knew exactly what I meant to her. Update 1. Thursday morning brought unexpected developments. Her ex-boyfriend's wife called me. Apparently, he'd been married for 2 years, something my girlfriend either didn't know or chose to ignore. His wife had found their text messages and wanted to know what was going on. When I explained the situation and offered to send her the recordings, she accepted immediately. Turned out my girlfriend wasn't the only one living in a fantasy. Her great love had been telling her he was single while telling his wife he was on a business trip. When his wife confronted him with the evidence, he claimed my girlfriend had been stalking him and making up their relationship. My girlfriend's face when I told her about his wife was something I'll never forget. The realization that she'd destroyed her entire life for someone who'd been lying to her just as much as she'd been lying to me. But the karma wasn't finished. Her job found out about the situation when her father, who worked for a company that did business with her firm, made some calls. In a field where reputation and trustworthiness matter, having recordings of yourself planning to steal from your boyfriend while lying to everyone around you doesn't exactly scream promotion material. She wasn't fired, but she was passed over for the senior position she'd been promised, the one she'd been counting on to support her new life. Update 2. By Friday, she was asking mutual friends for places to stay. Word had spread through our social circle about what happened. Most people try to stay neutral, but the recordings I'd shared with her family had somehow found their way to her friends too. Her best friend, the one she'd supposedly gone to Miami with, was particularly hurt to discover she'd been used as an alibi for cheating. When confronted, my girlfriend claimed she'd planned to tell everyone the truth eventually, but needed time to figure things out first. Her friend pointed out that planning to steal from me wasn't exactly figuring things out, it was theft. The apartment lease was in my name, so legally she had to leave. I gave her a week to find somewhere else to go. Her family wasn't speaking to her. Her ex was denying their relationship to save his marriage, and her friends were questioning everything they thought they knew about her. She spent that week trying to convince me to take her back. She promised she'd go to therapy, that she'd cut contact with her ex completely, that she'd do anything to rebuild my trust. She even offered to let me check her phone whenever I wanted. But I kept thinking about those recordings, about how easily the lies had come to her, about how thoroughly she'd planned to destroy my life while smiling to my face every day. Update 3. The final twist came the following Tuesday, exactly 1 week after I'd sent those recordings to her father. Her ex-boyfriend's wife filed for divorce and named my girlfriend as the other woman in the papers. Apparently, their affair had been going on for months, not just during the Miami trip. Phone records showed constant communication between them going back to January. My girlfriend had been living a double life for 3 months, planning her exit strategy while pretending to build a future with me. Every girls' night in February, every work dinner that ran late, every time she'd been too tired for intimacy, it all made sense now. Her lawyer advised her to stay quiet about the divorce proceedings, but the damage was already done. Her name was now part of public record as a homewrecker, something that would follow her professionally and personally for years. She moved out on Thursday, taking only what was legally hers. As she packed, she kept trying to apologize, to explain, to make me understand that she'd never meant for things to go this far. But I'd heard her real thoughts about me. I knew that every apology was just another lie. The last thing she said before leaving was that I'd destroyed her life over one mistake, that the punishment didn't fit the crime. I reminded her that it wasn't one mistake. It was 3 months of deliberate deception, manipulation, and planning to steal from someone who'd trusted her completely. The only mistake was getting caught. 6 months later, I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved back to her hometown, but her family still wasn't speaking to her. Her ex's divorce had been finalized, and he'd moved to another state to start over. She was working at an entry-level job, having lost her career advancement opportunities. People ask me if I feel bad about how everything turned out for her. The honest answer is no. She made her choices, built her lies, planned her betrayal. I just made sure the people who loved her knew who she really was. Sometimes the truth has consequences, and sometimes those consequences are exactly what someone deserves. I learned a lot about trust, about red flags, about the importance of listening to your instincts. But mostly I learned that some people are willing to destroy everything good in their lives for something that was never real to begin with. My only regret is not seeing through her lies sooner. But I suppose that's what happens when you love someone more than they love you back. The apartment feels different now, but better. Honest. No more walking on eggshells, no more second-guessing every strange behavior, no more pretending everything is fine when your gut knows it isn't. Her stuff is gone, her lies are exposed, and her perfect little double life has crumbled into exactly what it always was. Nothing but manipulation and deceit. And honestly, that's exactly what she deserves.